You're watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.
And welcome everyone to Sunday night and the AOLL Cup Series here on Ghostfire Media. I'm Josh Laston, and finally back in the booth with me is Mr. Carl Henderson.
Who? Who's here? I didn't know. Carl? Hey guys, it's good to be back. I'm glad to be calling this race with you, Josh.
I was going to say, this is going to be a great one. We are at North Wilksboro tonight. Unfortunately, this track is no longer with us, and it makes me sad because this is one of the trickiest small ovals you can come across.
Yeah, despite what it says up there, this is not Indy Road.
Nope, that's me missing some stuff.
But yeah, North Wilkesboro. I've run this track several times. I love running here. It is a very difficult track. There's elevation changes. I mean, it's for an oval, like it's extremely unique, and I have a lot of fun running with it. But it's going to provide a challenge for these drivers.
And we are going to definitely see a lot of very interesting action tonight. As Carl did say, this is a track that has so many interesting elements. The pit lane is short. We are going from high out of 3 and 4 to a very low section in 1 and 2, to where even though they are symmetrical, this track does not drive that way.
Well, I was about to ask you there. I saw Ed just sitting on the track. I thought that it had frozen up there, but Ed was just sitting on the track. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I think you've heard me mention, and I think people watching have heard this as well. Like, I hate tracks that aren't symmetrical, typically, and this is one of those not symmetrical. Like, you have to treat every corner as an individual corner. It's not something that you can kind of say, okay, what I did in 1 and 2, I can do 3 and 4, because you'll get punished if you try to do that.
Well, and as we watch Sean Carmody, last week's winner, out on his lap, the backstretch here is an uphill run. You're not going to get nearly as fast, but the fact that you transition to a downhill makes the run out of 3 and 4, it's tricky. This is a throttle management course. We are going to see most likely a single line develop. It's going to be that middle line that he's running right now. Like, it's difficult to get yourself all the way down to that low line and hug the curb here, which is treacherous to say the least, and really be able to get a good run out of the corner.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You're gonna see some slight variations on the line. Some people are gonna move just, hair higher, just hair lower. But I think you're gonna see mostly that kind of middle line there. But you were talking about single file. Man, I'm hoping we see single file racing. This is one of those tracks that it makes me a little worried that we may end up with a lot of cautions. I'm hoping we don't, though. I've got faith in this group here. We've got a smaller field than we a lot of times do, but the guys that are out there are really good drivers.
And to really drive the point home, it's again, we were here in the TNT series for those that watched. It wasn't too long ago. It turned into a bit of a caution fest, but when people are running and we can get some green flag runs, some of the most brilliant racing you'll see will be tonight at North Wilkesboro.
Well, it's a bit of a bumpy track as well. You know, we talked about the shape of the corners and all of that. I mean, being an older track, it's a little bumpy. And what you did one lap before, your car may behave entirely differently if you do the exact same thing the next lap. So there's an element of randomness to it, I guess. So I think you're going to see some guys that are going. I would put money on it. Someone that qualified in the top 5 at some point is going to have a solo stunt. Like, these are some of the most talented guys in our league. I think someone's going to have some issues on their own.
And as we have wrapped up qualifying, Justin Anderson has taken pole tonight. He's running brand new pedals that he used last week, and apparently it made his foot numb because he was having to push too hard. Luckily, you don't have to push very hard tonight. Followed by Blake Gordon, who was 0.03 of a second behind. Justin Rodden, who is relatively new, but right up there on the inside on the second row. Joe Dinsmore in 4th. Sean Carmody 5th. Brandon Bernhardt in 6th, Blake Ziti in 7th, John Gordon in 8th, and that's a lot of endeavors up at the front. Derek Schilling in 9th, Mike Burgess in 10th.
Yep, and then in 11th, we have Ed Springer. 12th, Kevin Haas. 13th, Nick Adams. 14th is Greg Wellen. 15th, Tony Pandon. 16th, Brian McFerrin. 17th is Jason Swan. 18th is William Klingbeil. 19th is Don Warnke. Is that all of them? That is all of them.
That's everybody.
So, yep. So you got some guys there that set some qualifying times. I have to say, I'm kind of surprised about Greg Wellen not setting a qualifying time there. He's been a guy that's been really fast ever since he joined the Cup Series.
And we finally have our last person on the grid. So, and I currently have it on time because you know what? Still haven't completely reset everything from last week.
Oh, so we're getting rolling here. I imagine we're going to have 2 pace laps before we go green here. I honestly think, go back to what you were saying about single file racing, I think if we can get just 5-6 laps under our belts here, we might be good. Because I think when the tires warm up, I think they're going to be a little more stable. So hopefully these guys will just be a little patient and not try to push it too hard.
No, and this definitely should be a great race, and it's going to take us 2 to go green here. The car on the outside, actually Blake starting in 2nd tonight, is going to give him an advantage because everybody's starting at the same time, and unfortunately I got the tail end of this in the TNT. That car on the outside is going to be able to hold more speed through 1 and 2 and should be able to get around, but definitely on the restarts going forward, it's going to be better to be on that inside.
I would generally agree, but it also, to a degree, also matters about driver preference. I mean, for all we know, Justin might prefer being in that lower lane, but we'll see what happens here as the pace car pulls off.
And they are green as we are racing, and we see Blake get about a half a car length in front of Justin. He should be able to get just about clear by the time they hit 3. And Justin is holding his own.
Oh, that's a little too... I thought it was going to be a little too low there, but he holds it. He is fighting there hard.
And we see Blake get that great run and holding that extra speed, giving him plenty of space. Oh, as Justin gets loose and into the inside barrier, and that shouldn't bring out a caution. That's going to make it to where he's back up and running, shouldn't have too much trouble getting back up to the rest of the pack, but he has dropped down into 17th.
Wow, that is really unfortunate. You know, you gotta that's just racing right there. Just trying your hardest to hold the inside there. It's not your preferred lane, but tough break for Justin. But I have a feeling with 160 laps ahead of us that he might be able to battle back.
But that's assuming we may end up getting a caution. He is making his way back around, but we are starting to see everybody drop down to that low line as Blake Gordon has opened quite the gap right now. He's close to 3/4 of a second over Justin Rodden. But
yeah, I want to talk, you talk cautions and all of that. Hopefully Justin doesn't have too much damage and be able to, hold on and not go a lap down here. But I do want to talk about, pitting here, because I tend to bring up pit strategy a lot. I took a look at fuel strategy. Fuel here won't be much of an issue. You're looking at probably about 90 laps on a fuel run. So that, in theory, means you should be able to do this on one stop. Now, whether or not tires become an issue before then, I'm not sure. But this is one of those tracks where, we got a little loose there.
Gets a little bit loose, and that's going to open up the door for Joe Densmore, who is now right on his bumper. And
yeah, he hit the grass a little bit there. But yeah, I think, this is one of those tracks, with short tracks, sure you can, I was looking at tire fall off. There's a pretty sharp fall off after about 10 laps, but then after that it was a little more gradual. You take a huge risk here when you pit, because you go multiple laps down and there could end up being a caution comes out. You're in trouble then. So it's going to be interesting if we stay green to see when guys are going to choose to pit.
Well, and right now, as Blake Gordon is actually starting, and that's not the leader. That's the leader. Blake Gordon is actually catching the first of the potential lap cars, and surprisingly, that is Greg Wellen, who is normally one of those people that we expect to be a front runner in all of this.
Oh, we had someone around cautions out. That was John Gordon.
John Gordon, we get 10 laps in, and we have our first caution. And that just...
Yep. So you're going to have you have a little bit of a hump there on the exit of the corner, and it looks like he was, honestly, he was a lot lower than I would have expected someone to run there. But it looks like he came a little hot exiting the corner and hit that bump, and he just spun him around.
Well, and according to our timing and scoring, it looks like our leader decided to play a little bit of a game with everybody. And, and nobody ended up biting because they had plenty of time to get themselves back out.
Yeah, I saw that happening live. I figured you'd switch over to that. I'll be honest, I'm surprised that some of those guys didn't pit. Look, you look at someone like Blake, who has won a large number of races this season. I would feel like, of course you got Justin Rodden, Joe Densmore, Sean Carmody up there, who are all race winners. But I would have considered pitting just to see what happens. Like, throw something against the wall, see what sticks.
Well, but there's one thing that we didn't really bring up is this, just given the nature of this track, it's relatively smooth turns, not excessive braking. It's not going to be the most difficult on tires. Granted, if we get to 60 laps and a caution comes out, then you're definitely going to do it, because you're only going to lose about 1.5 seconds in that time frame.
I really wish that our timing and scoring software would show like individual lap times. I just realized I can just pull it up in iRacing. Based on what I was seeing in practice, guys were losing about half second on the first 10 laps. So looking here at Blake ran an 18.6 on the third lap, and
as we are green, and again, the advantage here is you can get a great jump in front of the person as he takes a 2-car lead over second place without even having to think about it. And Now he is just off on his own. He's got a half second, but we are seeing back in the field a lot of people going side by side still.
Yeah, so looking at the lap times, he dropped 0.2 of a second by the time the caution came out. I would have considered pitting there if I were one of the guys in the top 5, or further back, it's even an easier decision. But we're racing here. We'll see what happens.
Well, and let's go ahead and bump up to the blimp here as we are seeing towards the back of the pack here, Nick Adams and Ed Springer are going side by side. With Ed on that lower line, he may be able to get up in front of Nick, but William Klingbeil is there to try to take advantage if either of those were to make a mistake.
For a second there, I thought he was trying to take it 3 wide, and I'm like, this is not the track to do that, buddy. But wisely checks up there, and he's waiting for guys.
Well, as we see, Justin Anderson from the very back of the pack has got himself up into 13th and is looking to make his impact and make his way back up to the front.
Well, I mean, he pitted, and so did Greg Wellen. And I'm looking at lap times here. He 19.33. So I mean, he's in traffic, but I mean, he's throwing down good laps right now, even in front. So pitting helped, and it should help him get through the field as well.
Well, and he definitely did not use his fast repair. He's waiting to see if there's a big one before he gets it. And right now, that kind of damage is not really going to do too much to him.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not a track where aero's going to matter, and he was fortunate that he had a little bit of time on the track prior to the caution coming out, so he could find out, is there any suspension damage or anything like that. He's able to find out, okay, I can still drive it in circles right now, so I'm good. And he's able to go in there and just take tires.
Well, and right now we're sitting here watching Justin Rodden and Sean Carmody. They are right on top of one another, but I'm going to go back a little bit as Derek Schilling is getting down below Blake Ziti, trying to make this stick as they touch a little bit, but Derek manages to not make it all that hard, and now he's dropping back.
You know, Derek and Blake are 2 guys that I've raced with a lot in the TNT series, and also around the Cup Series races I ran as well. I know those guys are wanting to race hard. They're going to race clean, and that was exactly what I expected to see there, trying to throw it in there, but then backing off when he realized he didn't have it.
Well, and the goal for them right now is to get themselves up to Brandon Bernhardt, who is the most recent AOLL winner here, and he knows how to make the car wide, so getting the pass done is not going to be easy. But we'll move back up to the front here as Sean Carmody is just waiting for Justin Rodden to make some kind of a mistake for him to take advantage, as he's just running a little bit higher of a line. He should be able to conserve some tires, but while Sean is being held up a little bit, it seems here, we have Joe Dinsmore waiting in the wings to follow whoever does decide to make that move and get himself up into the podium positions.
Man, this looks really familiar, with one driver who's maybe a little bit faster getting held up by another, and then a third driver coming in and making a pass on both of them. I think I've seen that recently, but I'm not sure.
You're hilarious. Rubbing salt in wounds, thanks. As Sean drops down, he's going to try to make something happen, and just may have dropped down a little bit early.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to find something at this point. Also, maybe trying to block, not say out to block Joe, but just trying to keep Joe from getting a run there.
Oh, as Justin bobbles it and gives Sean the lower line. Joe's right there behind him. With both of these cars, Sean's going to be able to get up all the way to the wall. But we're going to get to sit here and watch Joe Dinsmore and Justin Rodden battle it out for a little while.
Honestly, that may be one of those things where Sean dropped down, made it very clear, like, I'm faster than you, I'm trying to pass you, put a little bit of pressure on him, and he made him a small mistake there. So,
but it's looking like Joe has that lower line figured out, and it's just a matter of time before he actually gets the full car in front of Justin Rodden. And he had it there, but was being a gentleman, giving him plenty of space, and now he's got it done completely.
Yeah, I know that most people here are going to be running the middle line. Almost every track I run almost to the bottom. I ran a few laps here as a test session prior to the race. I still favor the bottom. It's easy to hook it down there. Just you have an easy reference. Less grip, but it felt good to me.
Well, as we are deep into this race, we're getting a nice long run here to where we're closing in on 20 laps on this run. Blake Gordon, if we actually look at the map, has just pulled away from Sean. But right now, the question is, who's running the faster laps? And it looks like I had it the other way. So Blake Gordon is actually a little bit slower than Sean right now that he has made his way fully around.
Well, and this could also be Blake pacing himself a little bit, and we see he's faster there, but I mean, by a significant margin. But Blake could be pacing himself. Excuse me. Once you get in the lead with a big lead like that, you don't want to pull away too far because it could just mean you're burning through the tires faster than the people behind you.
Well, now he's probably listening to us and realizing that we've decided to say that he was not pulling away, and now he's showing us up.
But no, I mean, I have to say, I mean, I've said this before, but really this is the first broadcast I've done since Sean's win last week. What an impressive thing Sean Carmody has been able to do. You know, you and I saw him enter in the TNT series last season. And I mean, immediately he was good, but about the same level we were. He just comes in and starts making a splash in the Cup Series. He has figured these cars out very quickly. I've been insanely impressed to watch it happen.
Well, and it's one of those things that he's taken the time and done something that I've kind of fallen out of favor with, and that's running official races to where you're not running around the same guys. You're learning from, for lack of a better term, the randoms of iRacing, as we see Justin Anderson joining this little group with Blake Ziti and Derek Schilling as Justin gets down below Derek. And
yeah, I just want to point out, I was talking about, when you should pit, when you shouldn't. Justin, not this lap, but the previous lap, ran the fastest lap on the track. The fastest that lap. I mean, he was faster than Blake. Those tires made a difference. Now, I mean, he had to come from the back, but he's making up ground. I think he is going to. I mean, look, I think he's going to burn through his tires before he gets Blake, but I think he's going to solidly get into the top 5 before we have to cut.
Well, as he makes the move down below Blake Ziti, and my guess is he sees that he's faster and he's going to end up having trouble if he tries to keep him at bay too long. But that actually opened up the door for Derek Schilling, who ultimately backs off and just lets him go. But right now, Justin Anderson has way too much time in front of him to where he's got a solid 10 seconds to make up before he can actually even join that battle, to where he is about a half a track away from Blake right now.
Yeah. Again, I don't think on track, if we stay green, if we stay green the entire way, he might have a chance to catch Blake, depending on how pit cycles play out. But I think that, at least on this pit cycle, there's no chance to catch Blake. He just has to make up some time here so that he's not taking himself out of contention.
No, that's exactly what he needs to do. His best friend right now would be a caution. But at that point, everybody would most likely come into the pits because we have done enough laps to make it to where those tires are going to make a huge difference rather than the minute difference that Justin's new tires had.
Yeah, I don't know that a caution would be his best friend right now. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. But I think right now he's got an advantage on the field, having fresher tires. So I would say, in my opinion, he needs a little more time to take advantage of this. Like, let me try to gain some more on this field that has older tires than I do. And then when we kind of equalize a little bit, then let the caution come out and tighten the field.
But right now, I want to go back here as Joe Dinsmore actually got the pass done on Sean Carmody. So let's go and take a look at that. As he just got himself down below and got the move done. And again, if you're on that lower line.
Sugar has issues. No caution, though. He did go around, though. Yeah, she may have kept it straight, so sorry about that. It looked like he was almost certainly going around. That was a great save by Ed. I think Joe. I look at the TNT race Thursday night and what Brandon was able to do on the outside line, and I think whenever you're able to run a line that other people can't run, like Joe's able to run this inside really well right now. He's able to pass people on the inside. And I think as long as you're able to do that, that gives you a big advantage. Because if you're faster than someone at some specific point, you can take a line that they're not taking.
Well, and the biggest thing with North Wilkesboro is your throttle control out of the turns. And there is no denying that Joe is absolutely amazing at keeping that car planted and getting amazing drives out of corners.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe is someone I've seen over and over who can, you might be able to beat him on corner entry, but he's fast on corner exit, and he's showing that a lot tonight. And the fact that he's able to pass people on the inside means that the potential disadvantage he'd have on entry is gone now because he can just go under him.
Well, and I want to get up to our leader, who is currently weaving his way in and out of lap traffic. And this is going to slow him down. This is going to give Sean that opportunity to make up some of that 3 second, or Joe, that nearly 4 second gap that he has right now. But at the same time, as the lap cars are getting themselves around, and it looks like John Gordon is going to try to take advantage of that parting and follow his son through this traffic and maybe get a few positions out of the process. But now,
yeah, I'll be honest. Whenever that happens to me as a racer, like give someone some room, and then someone else like tries to take advantage of it. I'm like, come on, man, really? Like, I'm just trying to give the leader some room. Let's just wait another lap before you try to do that.
Well, I mean, you got to take advantage of the picks when they're there.
Oh, look, if I'm in John's shoes, I take advantage of it every single time. But when I'm on the other side, I'm like, yeah, come on.
Yeah, well.
It's the same as a wreck, If you're the one that's causing it, it's always like, well, but if you're the one that got wrecked, it's like, well, it's all about perspectives.
And apparently the tone of your well.
Exactly, and you knew exactly what I meant, I think.
I did, just because I spent so much time in race chats with you and hearing the anger when this kind of stuff happens. But Blake is now in some clear air and making his way up to lap up to 10th place. So only the top 10 cars right now are on the lead lap.
I just want to point out that this last lap, Justin also ran the fastest lap on the track. Actually, Greg Wellen did. But Justin was right there. I mean, Justin's fast right now. He's got some clean air. As long as he's not having to pass a lot of people, he's in fifth. So he made it to the top 5. Like I said, he probably would be able to.
Well, and he's chasing down the 01 of Justin Rodden, and he may be able to have himself back up into 4th before we hit the pit cycle.
Yeah, and I'm not ruling out that it will be more from there. He is laying down really fast laps compared to a lot of the field right now. I think the sky's the limit for him right now. Obviously, I do not think he's going to catch Blake. I don't think he's going to catch Joe. But outside of that, I mean, there's some chances he can be able to pass up. Maybe Justin, maybe Sean as well.
Well, and right now we're seeing Joe and Sean catch that same lap traffic we were watching Blake get himself through. And Joe's into the clear air with Sean being just now getting around them, so he's going to be playing a little bit of catch up from where he was only a few laps ago.
I misread my timing and scoring there. I don't think that they're that close. I don't think Justin will be able to catch Sean either. But I think fourth is realistic.
Well, he's only got about 3 seconds to catch up to Sean, but he's definitely closing that gap down on Justin Rodden, but he is getting around some lap traffic of Nick Adams and Ed Springer, but he is clear to continue his charge forward.
Hey, I want to say, as we focus on Nick here, I want to say something about the entire field. We had that one incident earlier, but I'm genuinely shocked by how clean this has been. Short tracks are, very often a disaster in iRacing. That's not just limited to the AOLL. That's, kind of iRacing in general. It's just simulations. It's you don't have the same kind of the feel you have in real life. So they're usually a disaster. These guys have been super clean tonight. I am blown away by it.
We are at the point that it's going to start getting real interesting as this next group is hitting those back markers, and it doesn't seem like they're giving them as much respect as they were the leaders. But right now, Justin Rodden is up against the 5 of Don Warnke.
And look who's right behind him. Justin Anderson is.
He's taken advantage of him being slowed down by the lap traffic, as these guys, as we see a little bit of a touch there right in front of these guys, and Justin slowed, well, the two Justins ended up slowing down a little bit to make it through that safely, but they have gotten around. Now they have Mike Burgess in front of them, and they are trying to get them a nose underneath. He does give them that low line, and it's just a matter of time before they actually get around, as Justin Anderson is given a little bit of extra space to make sure he has time to react if there's an incident. But he's going to be side by side with Mike Burgess going into 3.
Well, yeah, you've got to leave that space, but I mean, also it's giving him an opportunity to possibly cool down his tires a little bit, serve. I mean, if there's someone in front of you and there's nowhere to go, there's no reason to just ride their bumper. Leave a little bit of space, wait for an opportunity to pass.
And Justin Anderson has cleared him and is only about a quarter of a second away from Justin Rodden, and making that track down of our top 3, even though they have close to 4 seconds between them.
Yeah, Justin lost a little bit of time there, just due to battling with lap traffic, but he's still fast. I am not ruling him out of this race at this point. This is exactly where he needed to get. He needed to get to that top 5 before the pit cycle happens, and he's there.
Well, and speaking of the pit cycle, if your math is correct and your fuel window is correct, we are into it.
Yeah.
So before we start getting there, let's go ahead, take a quick commercial break, and hear a little bit more about the AOLL.
The AOLL began online racing in the mid-1990s, with Papyrus's NASCAR racing still going strong 27 years later on the iRacing platform. The TNT series races on Thursday night, running the ARCA Chevy cars for drivers looking to learn and have fun. The Cup series races on Sunday nights, featuring league veterans and Class A licensed drivers. The Sportsman division races on Wednesday nights, running the Gander outdoor trucks with drivers from the Cup and TNT series. You can catch all of the AOLL racing action right here on Ghostfire Media.
And we are back, and the off-camera chatter is going to go ahead and continue. We were talking pit strategy.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, at this point, they could make it to the end on fuel. So, I think there's always a chance that someone could pit early. It would give them advantage. We saw with Justin Anderson how he was able to drive to the field. Now, a lot of that's because of the fact that Justin's really fast. We saw him qualify on the pole. But there's always that risk. If you pit early, sure, it gives you an advantage, but if a caution comes out, you're multiple laps down.
Well, and that's the biggest risk that these guys are going to have to take is it's not a major advantage, but the undercut at this track, as we do see Justin Anderson making that dive into the pits. Him coming out with these fresh tires is going to make him at least a second faster than everyone else, as he does nail the pit stop, but he is going to end up going a few laps down. But he's going to be faster to where when everyone else starts to cycle in, I was thinking Blake was running that low with the intention of going in.
And Justin Rodden came in. I'll be honest, I thought Justin Anderson would push it a little bit longer, considering he had more fuel. He had 11 laps in these guys, and he'd maybe hope for a caution on the pit cycle. Because, look, I mean, you get green flag pit stops, you got to get on the brakes. It's pretty easy to go into that tire barrier there.
As we come out and there's Justin Rodden and Justin Anderson, the undercut worked for him to where he is going to just set sail, take over the effective 4th place, as we're starting to see more people making that dive. But our leader, well, in all honesty, the top 3 have all stayed out. They're just going to run it dry. And the biggest risk that a lot of these guys are going to have is, are they mentally prepared to be running on these cold tires after 80 laps? Are they going to be able to hold it together? And if they do end up bringing out a caution in the process, our leader, that is going to be a Blake caution.
Well, I ran into that yesterday running we ran the 4 hours at Charlotte on the Charlotte Roval yesterday. I ran an hour and a half before I came to this pit stop. And after I came out, it was like driving an entirely different car. I forgot that it even drove like that. I almost lost it in multiple corners. So the longer you go, the harder that gets, because the car's getting tighter and tighter, and put fresh tires on it, you would expect it to get looser with fresh tires, cold tires.
Well, and the biggest thing that we can see right now is Blake Gordon is actually letting some of those cars who have pit to where Kevin Haas running a surprisingly new scheme, as Blake does make the dive into the pits. So we're going to see if those extra few laps will help Justin Anderson make up a lot of ground as Joe Dinsmore stays out.
It'll absolutely help. Whether or not, you got to think. I don't think it's going to be enough to get in ahead of Blake. And that's the problem, because Blake should now be faster than Justin. Not that much. It's not going to be a huge gap. But you would expect Blake to be faster than Justin now on slightly fresher tires. So if Blake comes out ahead, I think Justin's going to have a really hard time winning this race.
Well, there's also the chance, as we see Joe Dinsmore come out of the lead and into the pits, we're going to start seeing this full cycle make its way through as Justin Anderson gets himself his lap back.
And it looks like Blake is still ahead of Justin Anderson. So
by about 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think it would be very difficult for Justin Anderson to win this race. He was able to make up time, and I think he's still going to have a great finish. But like I said, we'll see after it cycles out after a little while. But I think Blake's going to be laying down faster laps than Justin, just because of the pressure.
Oh, without a doubt. It's only about 5 laps of difference right now. As we'll go ahead and bring this up. As Justin Anderson has 11 laps on those tires, and Blake Gordon is actually about 4. So it's not all that much of a difference, as Justin Anderson does make the leapfrog up into 3rd currently as Brandon Bernhardt dives into the pits. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking at lap times right now. We'll see when Justin crosses here what he's going to be. But last lap he was slower than Blake, and yeah, he was slower than Blake that lap as well by about 3 tenths. So he's got a lot of work to do. If I were Justin, I know this is a lot of fun. I'm certainly not hoping for a caution, but if I were Justin, I'd be thinking that caution would be helping me out quite a bit right now.
Well, and the big question that I would have is, would Justin dive in for tires? They only have 3 sets to change into, and would he burn them this early in the race, hoping, because we've gone close to 80 laps at this point. Green flag. Do you hold on to that extra set in hopes that there's a late caution?
I think everyone, there's no caution, and I think we see Derek Schilling here pitting, so that will move Justin Anderson up to 2nd. Looking at lap times, I've been talking about those. Blake Gordon ran a 19:05 last lap. Justin Anderson 19:08. So competitive lap time, but Blake is still faster. But I think at this point, if you've already pitted, if there's no caution, you're probably going to stay out at this point.
Well, and as we look at the lap time comparisons, it's enough, especially on this short of a track, to where if you're talking tenths of a second, he's pulling away fast. Yeah, and again, they do kind of, and see, Justin gained a little bit there that time, but Blake was getting around lap traffic in that process.
But you will see it stabilize after a little while, equal out a little bit, but I think Justin made the right call with where he pitted. Caution didn't come out. I think short pit was the right call. He gained a ton of positions, but winning this race without a caution, I think, would be very difficult.
And I think that's going to be the name of the game. Right now, everyone is spread out, with the exception of this little pack right here. And this is the battle for 3rd. We have Justin Rodden, Sean Carmody, and Joe Dinsmore, as Joe looked like he was going to try to make a move down low on Sean. But we're right back where we were earlier in this race, with these 3 battling it out. Sean looking a little bit faster than Justin as he gets his nose down below, and that could spell the end for Justin Rodden running in 3rd as he gets a little loose coming out of 2. But that's going to open up the freight train with Sean Carmody, Joe Dinsmore, and Brandon Bernhardt, who's actually a lap down at this point, trying to get his lap back.
That's surprising. We've got 6 cars on the lead lap here.
And we haven't actually talked about it, but we have William Klingbill, who is up 10 spots right now, running in 6th.
Yeah, Klingbill's having a great race. Klingbill always has speed. He is always really fast, and we'll get caught up in things. Sometimes they're things that he created, sometimes they're things that he didn't. But always a really fast driver. So him running here 6th place, not surprising me at all.
Well, and the big thing is, and you said it yourself, one of his biggest issues is himself.
There's a lot of drivers that suffer from that. I suffer from it at times. I think everyone suffers from it at times. So, but it's good to see William Klingbill here running 6th, because it's what I honestly expect seeing out of him after racing with him for so long in TNT.
Well, and again, there's a reason why he did make that jump this year, and right now he is in the chase. He is one of the fastest drivers out there. Just does have a tendency to end up caught in really bad incidents that'll
Yeah,
just
yeah.
ruin a night.
You know, a very wise man once told me, to finish first, you must first finish.
Well, and we could go back to one of the wise men that have said that, and is currently running in 14th, Mr. Nick Adams.
Maybe instead of saying he's a wise man, I'd say he's a wise guy. How about that?
Well, I think that fits his personality perfectly. But right now, Sean Carmody still has Joe Dinsmore after they did get around Justin Rodden, who seems to be unable to keep pace with these two. These two are going to be fighting hard for that third spot on the podium today. And it's not going to go away unless something happens.
Well, and you were talking about Justin Rodden. There are 3 cars that won by him right now. We got Brandon Bernhardt, Brian McFerrin, and Derek Schilling. They're like lined up behind him. They're ready to go. I think, I'm looking at Derek and, in his position, I'm probably sitting there, I'm like, come on, Brian, go. And Brian's probably looking at Brandon there. He's like, come on, man, go. Because that's just, how it happens when you line up. You don't see what's happening. One car in front of the car in front of you.
Well, and within iRacing, the relative screen, they'll be able to see that Justin is a lap ahead of them, but, and that's why they're not going to really push him too hard, is you don't really want to mess with somebody that's a lap ahead of you.
Well,
but
yeah,
with
but
these guys battling.
At the same time, Brandon is sitting there and he's like, sure, me passing Justin Rodden ultimately does not make a difference to my position. But I've got Brian McFerrin right behind me. I've got Derek Schilling right behind him. If I don't get around him, one of those guys is going to be able to get around him.
Well, and we've seen the relative difficulty of making a pass on this track. It is a single groove track, and if you let somebody get their nose below you, you will lose a position eventually. And that's why we see Brandon Bernhardt is taking that lower line, making sure that nobody can dive in deep on him. And for the most part right now, he knows he's sitting in a really good position. These guys aren't going to be able to pass him. But we are coming up onto a car that is a lap farther down, and that should make this battle just a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, he's Brandon's running defensively, which I don't hold the ball for that. As you see Brian McFerrin trying to go to the outside here, he's trying to do to Brandon what Brandon did to you on Thursday night.
Well, and you know what? It could end up working, as we're seeing Mike Burgess. We're about to go 3 wide here as Brian McFerrin does end up getting a little bit loose, giving up the position to Derek Schilling, and that's kind of the risk that you have to take.
Yeah, that is the risk, and that is exactly. I was talking to Brandon Bernhardt after the race on Thursday, and he asked me something along the lines of like, surprised you didn't try to pass Josh on the outside. And it's like, I knew that if I tried to pass him on the outside and I wasn't able to complete it, you were taking that position. So it's like this constant balance of like, do I want to take the risk right now, or do I want to wait a little bit, see if they're going to make a mistake?
As I jump up back to the front, and I'm going to interrupt you, as Joe Dinsmore gets himself down below Sean Carmody to take over third. And with that little bit of a battle.
Oh, he's fighting back though.
He's not going to give it up too easily, as he may try to go do an over-under as he got forced, but Joe gets the pass done brilliantly, and now is going to try to track down Justin Anderson, who's about 3 seconds ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's running really well tonight, and looking at lap times, I mean, at least the last lap prior to this one, he was faster than Justin. Not the same lap time as Justin, but Blake Gordon still pulling away from both of them.
And that should surprise absolutely no one, as I'm looking at it, looks like Nick Adams may have jumped into the pits, but he left it immediately. And it looks like he just ended up going a little bit low on the pit exit because, again, this is not... There's a reason why this isn't on the Cup schedule at this point and hasn't been revived. Is it's small and it's not really protected, and the exit of pit lane is treacherous.
Yeah, the exit of pit lane, running your line here, entering 1 is really tricky because you want to try to drop all the way down to the white line, but it's like, oh no, you don't want to do that. That's like pit exit right there. And then pit entries. It's a weird track. It's an older track. It's just it's really odd to drive on.
Well, as we saw Brandon Bernhardt try to get himself in front of Justin Rodden, because he right now has Derek Schilling right on his bumper, looking like he's going to try to get down below, and the best way he can defend that is put Justin Rodden in between them. And it's not going to be an easy task, again, as Justin Rodden is running a full lap ahead of them. But we're starting to see quite the backup right here, as it looks different Endeavor car at the back. Good Lord, these guys. That's Blake Gordon.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out which
right
one
there.
it is because they all look the same.
He's trying to get up there and lap Justin Rodden now. I think Blake's going to try to lap the entire field here, and
He's
we've got
track to do it.
Yeah, we've got 32 laps to go. I don't know if he's going to lap the entire field, but it is looking at this point, at the very least, we're going to only have 4 cars lap.
As we see Derek Schilling get down, his nose down below Brandon Bernhardt, and that's not the place that he's going to want to be. As we see Blake Gordon getting himself up above him, this could get dicey.
Yeah, what Blake has to do here, and look, Blake's super fast. He knows he's super fast. He has a 12.5-second lead. Take your time. There's no hurry here to make these passes. Like, Justin's going to have to get through them as well. Just wait. I mean, you got a teammate there. Hopefully you're on the radio. Like move the hell out of the way.
Well, as he does give him plenty of space, but he ended up going a little bit high there, and that's going to open the door for Derek Schilling to follow Blake Gordon through on that move. But Brandon gets a great run coming out of 4 to where they're going to go side by side, but with Derek Schilling, as he does drop himself back behind Brandon Bernhardt. But right now, we have Blake Gordon looking to lap our 5th place runner, and he's not being as big of a gentleman as the rest of them have.
Well, he's fighting to stay in the lead lap. That's the difference between those guys. They were already a lap down. Like, at that point, it's like, But, Justin knows that if a caution comes out, he wants to be on the lead lap. He goes 1 lap down, he'll get the lucky dog, so it's not the end of the world. But, I mean, you don't want to end up like...
He starts at the back of the pack.
Yeah, well, you start at the back of the pack, and also there's always a chance that Blake can get around someone else before the caution comes out, and then you don't get the lucky dog.
He does end up getting his nose down below, and that should spell the end of this. But this is causing Blake to chew his tires up.
Yeah, I mean, his lead is dropped to 11.5 seconds. I think he will survive this challenge.
I think he will too, but as he gets the move done, right now Brandon Bernhardt was below. There was almost some contact there, which sent him a little wild, but now Derek Schilling is side by side with him. He went in late into that corner. Brandon has to check up for Justin Rodden. I think that's going to make this interesting, because they still have that car in front of them that's throwing a little bit of a wrench into their fight as Derek Schilling gets the job done, but he's staying up high and still has some lap cars in front of him.
Yeah, I'm looking at the positions right now, and Blake firmly has Sean Carmody and Joe Dinsmore in sight. Justin Anderson's a bit further ahead, but Blake might end up lapping all but the second place. So if we stay green, what an exceptional run by Blake Gordon tonight. We knew he was good at short tracks, but this is honestly.
Well, and said it on the podcast on Friday, when you get to a short track, it's real difficult to go against Blake Gordon.
Yeah, except we all knew that. I mean, he's typically going to be the guy that, he might pass the majority of the field, but he's passed the majority of the field, lap majority of the field and more. I mean, this has been insane. He is putting on a clinic.
Well, as we are about to hit 20 laps to go, let's hear from our sponsor tonight, the Guitar Attic.
Hi, I'm Randy from the Guitar Attic. Can we be serious for a second? Are you tired of being a loser? Can't do anything right? Feel like everyone's coming down on you all the time? Well, there's a way out, and I'm going to show you. Hey Mom, look what I learned. That's right, pick up a guitar, learn how to play guitar. Automatically you're going to become a chick magnet. The ladies are going to love you. Your kids are going to think you're cool. So what you need to do is come down here to the Guitar Attic, 1672.5 Ridgewood Avenue in Daytona Beach, Florida, or go on guitarattic.com and buy yourself a guitar and automatically be the star of your neighborhood. That's guitarattic.com.
As we have 18 laps to go, we see our leader getting around John Gordon one more time. And the biggest thing we can do, and let's go ahead and pull up the blimp on our leader. And I thought you said that they were within eye shot right now.
I didn't say eye shot. I said that when Blake was entering one corner, Sean was exiting the other.
Right, so he is right now entering two, and yeah, he's right there, and it's not helping that Sean is catching lap traffic.
And Joe's not much further ahead either. But, I think that some of that differential is probably going to wear off now. I'm looking at lap times. Blake is faster, but I think he's probably going to lay back a little bit, just try to finish this race clean. I think you might see 4 cars in the lead lap, which is a heartbreak because I really wanted to see only 2.
And we are seeing this battle right here. This is continuing the battle that we were watching earlier. Derek Schilling got around Brandon Bernhardt to take over 7th, and let's hop back to what happened here. It was while they were in that traffic, he just got his nose above and essentially was using Justin Rodden to keep Brandon Bernhardt at bay.
I don't even know if he needed Justin Rodden. That's just a textbook move there. Beautiful move on the outside by Derek Schilling.
But right now, this is the closest battle that we have on track. Everybody is well over a second. But I think the most entertaining thing is actually going to be seeing if our leader in the last 11 laps is capable of catching Sean Carmody, but I don't think he is, as Blake is coming up to more lap traffic. That's going to open up that gap just a little bit more and let Sean, who's up in clean air, chasing down Joe Densmore. But it's by half a straightaway at this point.
Well, look, I don't want to be the first one here to say, the C caution. But I think you get to these situations a little bit where you get guys a little spread out, and we've had a relatively caution-free race, and you get 9 laps to go. You might have a guy that says, you know what, we've had a good race. We've had a clean race. I think I can make this move. And they try to make a move position, and they bring it. Which, to be clear, would not be a Blake talk. It would be like an anti-Blake position.
If we came with 2 to go, end up pulling out the yellow flag, that would be the worst thing that could possibly happen to him. With only 4 cars on the lead lap right now, all of these guys could take tires with no penalty. They would be able to
absolutely.
get right back up to where they were, and we would see some great racing. I'm not saying that I want that to happen, but I kind of want that to happen.
No, I don't. I think this has been an incredible race. I hope we stay green to the end. I think it's a testament to how clean AOLL races and how good the drivers are. This has been awesome.
No, this has been absolutely brilliant. We've had a lot of good battles through it, and let's just go ahead and see what it looks like from inside of Blake Gordon's car as he does a lap.
Well, it looks very fast to me. That's what I'm seeing.
And he hugs that low line out of the corner, gets a great drive. And since he's open air and has no one challenging him, honestly, that is the right line. We do see him on corner entry. Have to do a little bit of steering to the right to keep things tidy.
Yeah, what I saw there was entering 1 and 2, he was hugging the line. 3 and 4, he, entering 3, he would enter a little high and then apex late. That's a really good move for that corner, good exit speed. Just textbook right here. This is incredible what he's able to put together every single lap. I do wish that Justin had the issues early, because I wonder if we could have had a really good race here. But let's talk about Justin. How incredible it is that he fought back from falling back so far, and we're gonna get an opportunity to talk to him tonight. So incredible what Justin Anderson's done tonight. I would say second place in incredibleness to what Blake Gordon's done tonight.
Well, as we are coming to the checkered flag, as Blake decides to, get a little loose coming out of the corner, just to make it seem like he may not be able to control that car. But
well, hey, at least he didn't spin out crossing the start-finish line.
Well,
like some have.
Yeah, well, it's one of those fun things to do.
Yeah. What an incredible race. I was not expecting that. Honestly, I mean, you were picking on the fact that Nick said that it was going to be, what, did you say 22 cautions?
Yes. And we had one.
I don't, even if you were thinking, okay, it's not going to be 22 cautions, I don't think anyone was expecting 1 caution. That is exceptional. What a great job on these guys. I am seriously blown away. That was a really fun race to watch.
Well, as Blake Gordon shows his immaculate burnout control.
Ooh, that looks like a bowl.
I was going to say, he's putting on the show for us.
Well, a bowl is better than some things in Toronto for. So we'll take it.
All right, let's go ahead and run through our results tonight. As, of course, I forget to change it back because why wouldn't I?
I've got picks for that for you, buddy. I'll send it over to you.
Well, I'm just forgetful. As we have brought up already, we had Blake Gordon, our winner tonight. Justin Anderson, incredible drive to get himself back up into second. Joe Dinsmore in third, Sean Carmody fourth, Justin Rodden fifth, William Klingbill sixth, seventh was Derek Schilling, eighth Brandon Bernhardt, ninth Brian McFerrin, 10th Don Warnke.
And then in an 11th, we have John Gordon, 12th Kevin Haas, 13th Mike Burgess, 14th is Ed Springer, 15th Blake Zeeland, 16th Nick Adams, 17th is Greg Wellen, 18th Jason Swan, and 19th is Tony Pandon, but I don't think he actually turned the lap. So
I don't think he did.
Jason Swan rounding up the field there in 18th.
All right, so He's had time to cool himself down, celebrate just a little bit. So let's go ahead and bring up our winner. Hey, Blake, this is Josh and Carl in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going tonight?
Oh, outside of getting to watch a North Wilkesboro clinic from you, pretty darn good.
Yeah, that was a fun race. Glad we were able to get a lot of green flag laps in. Definitely helps to be able to just set into a rhythm and just go. I mean, I was a little surprised that we had all those green flag laps. I think we only had like one yellow.
It was one, and it was early.
Yeah, the whole last part of the race, I was like, wow, green flag pit stops at Wilkesboro. Never thought I'd see the day. So hats off to the entire, field tonight for, keeping it in one piece and giving us some nice green flag runs.
Well, how much of that do you think was Nick deciding to throw out the 22 cautions during the podcast on Friday?
I think 0% that, 100% that the setup was a little bit on the snug side. Like you had to really watch your entry to get it to rotate through the center, and then it was really kind of hard to break it loose on exit. Like you almost had to be trying. So yeah, I think most of the issues we have on short tracks is just self spins. So tonight, the setup wasn't really, lending itself to that. Other than Justin, I guess, early in the race. I don't know what happened to him, but he was next to me, and the 1 minute he wasn't. So
we'll be figuring that one out in a few moments.
Yeah.
Well, I saw. Go ahead, Carl.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to ask about that. I mean, we saw Justin spin there, and then he started fighting back through the field and pitted earlier than you did. I mean, were you kind of at the end of your fuel run at that point, or did him pitting kind of like force your hand a little bit?
Well, first of all, I wish he hadn't, spun or whatever, had that slide. I think it would have been a fun race battling him. Last year, he out-qualified me, and then I just couldn't get around him because you have to be so much faster to get the pass done. So I think I might have jinxed him before the race. I said, hey, nice win, because he qualified ahead of me, and then I felt bad when he had that slide. But hell of a recovery for him to come back through the field, finish second tonight. But yeah, when he pit, I think that kind of kicked everything off. I had like 20 more laps, and knowing how it's gone before, like you have to pit, pretty early when one guy goes, because if not, you're just letting him run fast laps, and eventually he's just going to gain all this time on you. So I went like 5 or 6 extra laps in pit. I could have gone, I think, about 20 more to like lap 100. But I didn't want to make that mistake again and have him end up, undercutting me like that on pit road. So, yeah.
So basically what you're telling me is we had 100 laps worth, and Carl was wrong saying it was 90.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the exact number was. All I know is when he pit, when we were approaching lap 80, I was talking to the team. I'm like, I got like 20, 23 laps of gas left. Do I just run this out, or I pit at 80 just to, cut it right in half? And then Justin pit, I heard he was pitting at like 79, and I'm pretty sure I had like 20 or so more laps left at that point. I could be wrong. These aren't exact numbers. Carl's probably right.
Yeah. So Josh, I just want to point out here, while they could have taken it longer, nobody took it past lap 90. So I'm still gonna count that as a win.
Yeah, I think everyone knew what the window was, and I think everyone knew if you just pit once after lap 80, you're going to be fine on gas. So I don't think anyone was looking to fuel mileage it tonight.
Well, and I have to ask, were tires really falling off that much that people would have benefited from that had we basically just waited until the fuel window came out?
Yeah, I mean, tires were pretty important. They would definitely help you cut through the center of the corner a lot better. But they weren't wearing very quickly. But, even I think 20 or 30 lap old tires, I think if you pit and had fresh ones, you would definitely have the advantage. We kind of tested that out in practice, just seeing like how many laps of green flag laps on the tires would it take to kind of get them to a point where fresh tires would like actually be a huge advantage. So, yeah, I mean, definitely, I think if someone tried to split it, but then again, like you're losing so much time on pit road, and here you're pretty much going a lap down, pitting under green. So I think really the only strategy tonight was just go as long as you could on a tank, then pit. the strategy would have come had we had yellow flags if anyone did 2 tires.
Well,
man, that was a great run. You'll hear it when you watch the podcast. I said over and blown away by the fact that you lapped all but
4, 3 others, I guess. Yeah.
That's exceptional. What an incredible run, man.
You know what it is? I think Brandon pissed me off. He said I was the last person he had to pass on track, and he did it at Dover after I smacked the wall. So I think me lapping him tonight undoes that. So I think we're back to me being +1 on him.
Yeah, I think that's Brandon actually finished 2 laps down, so you might be +2 on him.
No, well, I'm just giving him some crap. That's what we do in the team. What's a team for if you're not kind of poking fun at each other when you can?
Well,
yeah, I agree 100%. I think Josh Laston is the absolute worst, and I prefer if he just quit.
Well, it's the only chance you have at the season for the TNT.
Oof.
Anyway, it was an absolute clinic tonight, Blake. I'm glad you proved me right from the podcast. It was just an absolute amazing run from you tonight.
Well, thank you. Glad I didn't let you down. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night for fuel.
Sounds great, sir.
All right, you guys have a great night. Thanks for doing the broadcast.
All right, later, Blake.
See you.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in the drive of the night out. Well, I am honestly going to say that Justin had the drive of the night, but let's bring him in. Hey, Justin, this is Josh and Carl in the booth. You got a copy?
I do indeed.
So I'm going to vote for you of having the drive of the night sans 1 lap.
Yeah, that was the best race I've if you exclude lap 2, that was the best race I've put together in a really long time. North Wilkesboro was hard to pass on, and I restarted dead last at the only caution that we had. So first off, I want to shout out to the league running North Wilkesboro basically caution free. Really is an accomplishment, but I'm really pleased to pass 16 cars and get to second place. I had picked Blake to win in the podcast on Friday, so I really had to set it up that way, which is what happened on lap 2. We're just going to go with that.
So basically you threw the race tonight to be right.
You know what? This is recorded, and I can't even say that. No, sadly, no.
So I have to ask you, man. I mean, you had that issue early on. Do you think that if that had not happened, do you think he would have had something for Blake, or was this just kind of his race to lose?
It was his race to lose. I think I would have been competitive. I think I would have been a lot closer than 11 seconds behind him, but I don't think I had the consistency tonight. But I also felt, I was obviously rattled after what had happened, and then coming up through the field, it was hard for me to get into a rhythm until after the green flag pit stop. I don't know. Blake is just so consistent on tracks where you have to brake getting into the turns. I would like to say that I would have been close, but I don't honestly think I would have beat him. No.
So the question after Friday night and last week: did your foot fall asleep this week?
No, I only had to use it 320 times. At the road course, it was way more than that. No, it was fine, actually. Even in practice, and running a green flag, no, I mean, I actually think that I finished a lot better than I would have with my old pedal.
Well, I mean...
So, going back to the incident you had, I got to ask, I mean, I know you were the pole winner, you had started on the inside. What happened there? Walk us through, what happened with you getting loose there?
So I almost cleared Blake off of 4, but I wasn't. I mean, it was lap 1. I wasn't going to do anything to try and pull up in front of him. So going into turn 1, I was like, do I just sail it in there so I can get clear, or do I, do the nice thing and kind of brake and then arc it down? And because I was so undecided about how I wanted to run 1 and 2, I kind of missed my line. So I was angled to hit the grass, and that's always awful. So I loosened up the wheel just a little bit so I could arc out. But then I was afraid of hitting Blake, so I just turned left just slightly, and the back wheels broke out right at that moment because I happened to hit the gas and turn the wheel left right at the same time. And then I was really worried about bringing out a caution, so I was trying to get straighten back out so I could get back onto the track without bringing out a caution. So that was embarrassing and awkward.
Well, I mean, the inside guardrail appreciated the love, but I feel like you only gave it just a little bit of the tip, and honestly, you ran the whole night with the damage. It didn't seem to do any kind of massive issues. So
I think it was just cosmetic. I don't think it had any impact on the speed of the car. It certainly didn't feel any different, like handling wise. So,
well, you can say that that's the best damage you can have.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm actually impressed that you're able to differentiate that, because every time I get into a wreck, if there's even a little bit of cosmetic damage, in my head, I've convinced myself that, the car is not driving.
So I did think that for like the first 3 or 4 laps, and then thankfully the caution came out. And so when I pitted, I didn't change tires, but I just turned my quick repair off to see how much damage there was. And it was only 40 seconds. And I'm like, 40 seconds at a short track, whatever. So because I had the mental calculation, if the race had just gone green the whole way and I had never known how seconds-wise how much damage there was, I think it would have mentally thrown me off.
No, that was an absolute... I wish I had that kind of patience. I really do.
You do. You just have to zen yourself and let it happen.
Well, and then you see what happened on Thursday night, and I was just like, it's not that bad. I gave it a few quick turns to see if it would actually, cause issues, and caused way more issues than I was letting on.
It sure did.
Anyway, so that not Thursday night. Great job with the broadcast, guys. I can't wait to go back and watch it.
No, it was a lot of fun. I mentioned multiple times in the broadcast how insanely impressive it was that stayed green. Other than that, early caution, and I was kind of like making my guesses about where you would end up prior to the pit stops, and man, you nailed the strategy. It was awesome to watch and a lot of fun to call.
Yeah, I did pull him down. So I think I was one of the first cars to pit under green, and I was like, I'm going to break it in half, and just because I had made it up to, I believe, 5th or 6th. I don't remember where I was running when the caution came out, but I knew I was close enough to the front that like the car in front of me would pit, and then you know what I mean? Like I knew it would be a domino, and then I would kind of pull everyone down on the same strategy, because I felt like once I made it up to 5th or 6th or wherever I was, that I could probably get into a rhythm and make up more spots. So that was kind of my goal. Frankly, I'm a little bit surprised that it worked, because you could go 100 laps on fuel.
So, I mean, in all honesty, the undercut actually gained you the position over Justin Rodden, got you up into 5th. So I personally, that was the right call.
Yeah, because the tires would fall off. So we were running like about a second slower than our fast laps, but it was a second slower like from lap 30 onward. So like the last 50 laps, there wasn't additional drop off. You ran the same lap times just over and over and over again. So I knew I would have like a 30 lap window if I pitted first, that other people would be able to catch back up or potential. But then after that, it just evened out. So like Joe was like 3.5 seconds behind me. He had to fight to get through traffic, and then Joe stayed 3 seconds behind me, because everyone was running the same speed at that point.
No, it was the single best recovery run that I think I have seen in the Cup Series. Luckily, you got a lot of green flags to do it, but man, would a caution have made the drama amazing? But no matter what,
it would have helped television. But honestly, I was in the car going, I actually feel like this league needs a long green flag run on a short track. So I was actually thankful it didn't work out that way. Blake deserved the win, and although I would have really enjoyed the opportunity to battle him for it, a part of me would have felt cheap if that had happened.
No, it was easily, between the two of you, your recovery run and the absolute clinic that Blake put on tonight, honestly, it going green flag the whole way, it was still just an absolutely brilliant race.
Thanks, guys. Like I said, I can't wait to watch another broadcast. Thanks to Ghost Fire Media for being here. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for a great run, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you more often, just not with a little bit of a bobble early in the race.
I would appreciate that. Thank you both.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Justin.
Have a good one.
And it's relatively early, so there's
It
part
is.
of me that really wants to bring in our third place runner. So let's bring up Mr. Joe Dinsmore. Hey, Joe, this is Josh and Carl in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
None too bad. That was an absolutely great race from you tonight.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So I do need to let you know, Josh. I don't know if he messaged you as well, but Joe messaged me right after the race and pointed out that he almost brought out a yellow after the pit cycle. Yeah, I watched the video. It got a little loose. What happened there, Joe?
So the entry of believe it or not, as the tires wear, the entry is deeper as the tires wear out, where the brake point is. And I ended up braking way too late in that corner. And, I really was like, oh my God, am I going to save it? Am I going to save it? It looks like it happened in a second when I was handling it and I was going through and trying to correct myself. It was all in slow motion, trying everything I could with the steering wheel and modulating the brake to get it to straighten out. So I would not, one, hit the wall, two, spin out, cause a yellow, because I didn't want to see that, considering how well everybody's was running this track, considering, it's a short track. There's really not that many places to pass. I don't know. I can't wait to watch the broadcast. If you got any of Sean and I's battles, man, that was just a ton of fun.
You guys actually kept it very interesting as Blake just pulled away and Justin had an amazing recovery. You two battling was what we hope to see every week.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I mean, I encourage everybody to do it. It's if you have a car to run side by side if you can and get close to everybody. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about having fun and with your friends here, So yeah, that's what I was doing, creating new friends with Sean on the track.
Well, and just talking about your almost spin there. I mentioned right before the pit cycles that you run a long green flag run like that, and when you come in, you pit, get fresh tires, and it doesn't, it's been 60 laps, 80 laps since you had it run like that. I bet if we went through the field, there were probably a lot of guys that had that happen right after they took tires, but thankfully didn't bring out a caution.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, that's always the worry when you're running through the cycle is, are you going to be the person that gets caught? If the caution goes out on a long run like that.
Well, and the biggest thing is, and we talked about it, the pit entry and pit exit on this track are treacherous under the best of circumstances.
Oh, absolutely. It's scary when cars are coming up on you. When you're practicing, you can hold up and whoa up, but when you're trying to keep your time, on the track, you pull out and you really hope that you call it out and you hope that the person behind coming up on you will go up that, half a lane while you're getting up to speed.
No,
I mean, it's really bad. I don't know if there might be one other track that's worse and I can't remember where it is. It's that triangle track. I think the TNT just went to that.
Oh, Concord. Yes, that is.
Yeah.
Because especially with if somebody's trying to come into the pits at the same time as you coming out, it's a very small window, but it also dumps you directly into the thick of things.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very close to that. It really is. I mean, you make it an extra 30 feet on each side of the pit entry and exit.
No, but it was a great run tonight, and again, we're very happy, especially when certain people did not have as much confidence in a clean race tonight. But from what we've heard, the setup itself tonight was very easy to keep under control, which I'm sure helped. but it also made for some absolutely amazing racing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really thank everybody for doing this for us. So, and I do want to shout out Justin for, losing it and then having to fight his way back is that's a lot of work, and good for him for what he did too. And good for Blake. Blake had an amazing run tonight. I mean, I definitely was faster than him a little bit at the end if you actually were paying attention to the speeds. But his first 20 laps, 25 laps, there was nobody that could touch him. I mean, Justin maybe, but, baller speed there.
Yeah, I have to say, talking about the fact we have one caution. I mean, the race as a whole, it's impressive to me. I mean, they're short tracks. Every league struggles with. That was just. I saw a lot of patience out there, which was really good to see.
Yeah, we definitely saw. I definitely saw a lot of that when I was going through and getting by some folks, and even when I was following, when I was coming up to a lot of the lap cars, when I was watching them race as I was coming up to them. They were racing hard, but they were giving each other enough room, and they were braking right, so timing things the way they needed to. So it was good to see.
No, it was a great run from everyone, especially from you. We're again getting to see you back where we would expect you to be, and as we head into the chase, it's good to see you hitting form.
Yeah, thank you. I hope I can continue and finally get back into the winner's circle too. So, one of these weekends.
I'd say you're overdue. But great race. Thanks for chatting with us, and hopefully it'll be more frequent.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Carl, Josh. Have a great night. Thanks, Ghost Fire Media, for doing this for us.
Oh.
And thanks for everybody that watches.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Yeah, you dropped him in there. So, everyone, tonight was an absolutely great race. This is much better than I was even hoping for, and I knew North Wilkesboro. It's one of my favorite tracks to watch people run. This was an absolutely brilliant night.
Yeah, that's a great night for the league. I say it after every caution-free or nearly caution-free race. This reflects well on the league, and huge props to the guys who raced tonight. Every single person in the field, they were personally responsible for this. A great job.
And next week, the league heads to Watkins Glen, to where we're back to following the Cup schedule. It'll be an interesting one because the Glen has a tendency to be a road course that a lot of these oval drivers do very well at, unlike COTA, because Cup cars should not be there, but it is what it is. But
yeah, I love the Glen. I think these guys are going to have a great race. I will be absent next week, so I'll be at the IndyCar race in Nashville next weekend. But Josh, I'm sure you'll be able to handle it.
Well,
do a great job as you always do.
I hate you for that because that is, I'm looking forward to the inaugural running of that race, and watching those guys on street courses is always a fun time.
Yeah, it should be a blast. But it's been a blast here tonight as well. Really glad to be back and had a great time calling the race tonight with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And for everyone out there watching, don't forget, tomorrow night we will actually have fuel at Homestead. It's going to be a great race. Those guys always put on a great show. Running their Sportsman League at Homestead was... okay, I'm too slow for them, but at the same time, it was a great race. Then on Thursday night, we will have the TNT, which will be at the Roval. Friday night, we have the podcast. And Sunday, make sure and catch us back here for Watkins Glen. So, thank you, everyone, from Ghost Fire Media. I'm Josh Laston. And have yourselves a great night.
Thank you for watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.